Right, okay, so this is a webinar on SEO, keyword research, and how to find the opportunity. So we're looking for opportunities of what content to write, what people are searching for, how often do they search, how difficult will it be for us to rank on Google for those things as well. Okay, so just a reminder then, this is all about being a client magnet. So these people are going to be searching and finding us and coming to us. This is all about, and the great thing about SEO is if you can maintain a position at the top of Google for something that people rank for, then you have got this constant queue of people coming and knocking on your door, coming on your website. Okay. And then in terms of client journey, then we're looking really at the awareness side of things. So this is us getting in front of people on Google when they search. And then I brought this slide back across from the, sorry, it's difficult to let people in while we're, I brought this slide back across from the very first webinar that we did when we talked about those really great referrals where they know who you are, that you've successfully helped someone else, you'll be easy to work with, you'll guide them through the process, and you have the expertise to do it. So when we're trying to replicate that feeling in terms of online, SEO will help with the who you are. They'll be able to find you and find who you are. And this is your opportunity to guide them through the process and display your expertise to do it. Because what we want to do is we find these search terms and answer them as you in your kind of unique way. Okay. So really the first part of doing this is find out who do you want to help and what do they search for. And it could be, you don't have to niche down your whole business and just go after one type of client, but you do probably need to prioritize who do I want to help first and what do they search for, because there's endless amounts of opportunities to create content, and there's 300,000 different things that people search for, so you don't have to choose just one type of client, but you probably just want to prioritize who am I going to go after first and what do they search for. And really, we could rephrase that, what questions do they have before they speak to us? So our goal then with keyword research is to find things that our ideal client searches for, and for two reasons. So that we have a chance of getting clicks to our website from Google, but also to demonstrate our expertise if they arrive from other sources. So even if at the minute, pretty much everyone on this call and most people listening will have a brand new website, I imagine, and it's going to be very difficult for you to rank very quickly. So you'll need to create a lot of content, but you will have people coming to your website from other sources. So whether it's someone's got a WhatsApp message and they're looking at your website, if they are your ideal client, they're probably going to have these questions anyway. And just because they've been referred doesn't mean they're going to talk to you. I think I've mentioned before, on the agency side, our biggest win is when we pick up a client and they've got loads of traffic to their website already, but none of that's turning into leads because they don't like what they see. So don't just assume that referrals are always going to turn into leads. Doing this process, yes, will help with your SEO and Google rankings, but will also help convert more people that are going on your website anyway. So it could be because they've searched your name because of someone have said them, or they've seen you on social or whatever. This content is going to be key for converting people into leads. And then I suppose the byproduct is we can get more traffic on Google as well, because Google wants people to have a good experience and get the answers to their questions. So remember, it's Q&A, so we'll need to create the answers. So this research will help you create a content plan. We probably won't have time today to create the content plan and how they structure a new website, but we are going to talk about finding those search terms, those keywords, and this will be the questions that we need to create answers for. So it's the first part of creating our content plan. So I'm going to go through 5 different ways of doing this. So the problem is I'm going to show you the way we do it, but we use quite expensive software, which we need because we've got lots and lots of websites and lots of clients that we need to do this for. So the cost of the software makes sense for us, but for a small business or one website, it probably doesn't make sense. So they do a free trial, and I think one or two of the people on this that have taken this package, the DIY package, have bought SEMrush, and I think some have kept it and some have bought it for a little bit. But I need to show you some other options that aren't going to be expensive as well. So I don't use the other options. I use SEMrush. I'll show you that at the end. But I really need to find some things that aren't going to cost you a fortune, because I'd rather you have budget available to run ads or do other things rather than spending it on software. So we're going to do 5 different ways of finding ideas, some better than others. So they're not all ideal, but we're going to go through them. So number 1 will be just Googling it. You won't find out the search volume or how difficult it is, but you will find the questions that people ask. We can use the Google Ads keyword planner. It will tell us how many people search, but it won't tell us how difficult it is to rank on Google, how competitive it is. There's a Chrome extension, which I will show you, which will show you the difficulty. So you could use Google Ads and this Chrome extension to get what you need. It will take a bit longer than just using SEMrush, but you'll see that. And there's a company called Ahrefs, which has got a free version, but the tests that I did this week, it was just not reliable, and I'll show you the difference. So it's not going to be ideal, but you can sort of get what you want in a convoluted way that won't cost you, maybe take a little bit more time. So if you Google it, so if you just search for, I'm going to use the option that your ideal client is a self-employed mortgage, self-employed person that needs a mortgage. So in pretty much all of these examples. So the easiest thing to do is just to search on Google self-employed mortgages, and then look at where it says people also ask, and then it's got questions there. And then when you click on that search, it will tell you what people also ask after that. So you get this endless kind of list of questions that these are the things that... And Google's put them in the top 4 there because they're the most common questions related to what you've searched, if that makes sense. So if you search contractor mortgages, it will give you 4 or 3 or a set of questions that people also ask. And you can kind of assume that there's a lot of volume there because Google's highlighting it. So that's the easiest, quickest way. Yes, you won't know exactly how many people search, but you will know the important questions. And this is why I put the slide back from our first webinar, because let's use the example that you really want to do self-employed mortgages. You've done one for someone and they've referred their friend, and their friend, all they got was a link, and they go to your website. If they can see content answering all these questions, they most likely would have that question in their head themselves. So if they can see this content, they'll be more likely to inquire rather than just go on to the next person. So that's what hopefully I'm making sense about why I would create this content anyway, even if you can't rank on Google. So the difficulty at this point, when you guys are really early on, is probably not so important as to later on in a year's time or 6 months' time, when your website has got lots of content, Google thinks it's more of a trusted source, and then you'd be a bit more tactical. So that's probably what I would do off the bat. Just pick that person that I want to help and what questions they have, and then prioritize it in the order that Google's listed it there to create your content plan. That's the easiest, quickest version. And then also, I searched it again, and then it gave me loads of questions there. So I've just used Google. So once I searched it once, and then I tried to search it again, and it gave me even more things that people ask and other search terms. So it doesn't give you the volume, doesn't give you the difficulty, but there's loads of ideas here of questions that people have and they go onto Google for. And if your website has the answers, then great. Okay, so we've done the Google Ads course. So a lot of you have been on the webinars for that. Some of you haven't. You'll be able to watch it back in the portal. But we talk about keyword planning for ads. Well, we can use the data here, the average monthly searches. So you can see the keyword there, self-employed mortgages, and it gives you the average monthly searches. So you could get your list of questions and then pop them into the Google Ads keyword planner and see how many searches there are, and it may give you more ideas as well. I would probably ignore everything else for now, because everything else is to do with ads. So like the cost per click is to do with ads. You may want to look, if you find a keyword or a search term that has low volume, but people are spending a lot of money. So you see mortgages for contractors. Some people are bidding up to £16. Oh, my screen's gone a bit funny there, hasn't it? I don't know if you guys can see that or not. People are bidding up to £16. Oh, that's why. Hang on 2 secs. Yeah, you can see that £16.46, which seems like a lot, but the reason they're doing that is because they're making money from it. So you know that that's a profitable search term. So if you can get on Google for it, there are decent leads there. It's kind of a good way of testing whether it's a good quality search term. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense in the chat. So Daryl's asked a question about answering those questions on one page or multiple pages. We will talk through that. It's a really good question. Let me come back to you on that though. We will definitely talk that through in the next webinar, because we will want to create our content plan. So Daryl, really good question. The short answer is, if you would have self-employed mortgages, as we call these hubs of content. So if you imagine it's like a category in a shop, on an online shop. So a hub would be trainers, and within trainers you'd have red trainers, or you'd have Nike trainers, and underneath that you'd have red Nike trainers, and it's kind of like drilling down in your categories. So self-employed mortgages would be a category, like a hub, and then the questions underneath it would drill down. And the short answer is, if that search term or that question, you could write 1,000 words on it that is different enough from your main top level keyword, your self-employed mortgages keyword, then yes, on multiple pages. Hopefully that makes sense, but we will go into more detail on that, and we'll do more examples of that going down the line. So hopefully you can see that Google Ads will give you the volume, and you can kind of see maybe some of the quality there. If people are spending a lot of money on it for the clicks in ads, it means when people search that, it's good quality. So it means that when people search it, they turn into leads, they turn into business. There's a Chrome extension called Keywords Everywhere. So I use Google Chrome rather than Safari or whatever. And then, so if you're in Google Chrome and you search for Chrome extensions, you could search for this thing called Keywords Everywhere. And you can see on the right-hand side, I've typed self-employed mortgages at the top, and on the right-hand side, it's given me the difficulty, 55 out of 100. And it's similar-ish to SEMrush, the software that I use. I wouldn't say that probably makes it look easier than it is, because self-employed mortgages is very, very difficult to rank for. So if you're, as a benchmark, that should be, if I was doing it, I put it at like 90 or 95. So you're probably, if you're using Keywords Anywhere, you probably want to be looking at things around 10, 20. But again, this is stuff you probably want to be looking more at difficulty in 6 months or 12 months time. But Keywords Everywhere will give you difficulty. You can buy credits from Keywords Everywhere to get the volume and the difficulty together. So it's not a subscription software, but you can, if it's going to say, if spending $10 is going to save you time, just putting that Chrome extension on Google rather than hopping into Google Ads and then into Chrome extension, that's kind of a decision you've got to make. So it's a much cheaper option, and maybe that will save you a bit of time. Okay, Ahrefs the paid software is pretty good, but this free keyword planner I didn't think was very accurate. But I will give you the link to this. But as you can see, I did a search on self-employed mortgages. It says there's 600 searches a month, but if I go back to the source, Google Ads, there's actually 6,600. So the the volume didn't seem very accurate to me. It was the only search that I did, but I thought, well, if it's got that one wrong, then there's something not quite right with it. But I will send you the link to that, and you may find, and also the difficulty, they've put 8 out of 100, which is ridiculous. So it's an option. I probably wouldn't use it. And also there's loads of software out there. What I would do is just benchmark it against what Google Ads is saying, and maybe get the free trial of SEMrush and do some testing on what the other software is doing against this. So that's why I highlighted it, just to let you know there are some bad ones. Don't believe everything that you see. And then you've got SEMrush. This is pretty accurate. You can see actually it says self-employed mortgage 3,600. It's because it will add self-employed mortgages and mortgage and some of the variations together. This will make a bit more sense when I jump into it. But what we found with SEMrush and why we pay a lot for it is the difficulty is much more accurate across the board. And we use this all the time, and it gives us really good ideas on really what we call long tail search terms, where people search with a multiple of things. Sorry, I know my screen's just stopped and I feel like I'm rambling as well. So I'm going to jump into some software now, if you bear with me. And we can give you... so we've got Ahrefs here, so let's try something else like contractor mortgages. Really easy to use. Yeah, I just think I would just not, yeah. They're saying this is on a 100-point scale. So they're saying it's difficulty 15 out of 100, which makes it sound really easy. So I would just avoid Ahrefs free tool. It just doesn't seem very good. Okay, keywords everywhere. So if you go to the Chrome Web Store, all you've got to do is search for... This is probably the best option, I think, for you guys if you don't want to spend any money. So in Chrome, search Chrome extensions, and it'll take you to the Chrome Web Store, and then search keywords everywhere, and then you can install this. I've installed it already, but it'll just give you an option when you click in there. Rather than remove from Chrome, it will say add to Chrome. And then when you go to search something, so if we search contractor mortgages, I've got loads of extensions here, but it's like the K, and it will be grayed out if you've got it off, and you can just click it, turn it on, and then do your search again, and then the box will come up in the right hand side, and it will give you the difficulty, which seems fairly accurate for some of the stuff I've looked at. Again, I probably put contractor mortgages on its own more near like 95 out of 100 in terms of difficulty, but it's quite handy. And then, like I said, if you wanted to buy the credits to give you the volume as well, $10 for, I think it was like 100,000 searches, doesn't seem too bad as a one-off payment, just for ease of use rather than jumping into Google Ads. Okay, and then here's what I said as well. You know, like if you search contractor mortgages, you've got people also ask. So Google's prioritised those in how important it thinks. So you may not need any of this software. Just use Google, and you've almost got an unlimited ideas, because do banks give mortgages to contractors? People obviously ask that. So let's search that and see what other questions there are. Is it possible to get a mortgage as a contractor? Which lenders are contractor friendly? Can I get a mortgage with a contractor, with a contract of employment? Can freelancers get mortgages? There's so many questions. You'll be able to create a really big spreadsheet of content you want to create. And also think, like on social media, people are going to want, even if you want to create, if you haven't got time to create a 1,000-word article, could you do a 1-minute video on can freelancers get mortgages? Because you know that people search for it, and share that on social media. So yes, we're doing the SEO course, and it is about keyword research, but it's also just remember this is the questions that people have, and they'll want to see the answers, whether they're on Google or whether they're on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. So this is where you should be getting your ideas to create content for. It just so happens that you can use it to rank on Google. Okay, and then SEMrush, really easy. There is a free trial. I think the free trial limits, so you can see the prices here. We're on the almost $500 a month, which is obviously a bit excessive for just one website. I think some of the guys have got Pro, so it just depends whether, I think that's what, £90 a month, something like that, whether that's going to be only you can decide. But what it does do is we can look at something like self-employed mortgages and the keyword difficulty, what's easy, and then it gives us loads of ideas of questions. In fact, we can change it into questions. There's a couple of questions here that should be easy to rank for. That one's irrelevant because it's how to become a self-employed mortgage advisor, but how much can I borrow self-employed mortgage calculator? We know that is a question that is easy, but there's also other search terms here, so you can break it down. You can see the cost per clicks and things like that. So it's maybe SEMrush and the keyword magic tool, is something that you may want to use, like I say, in maybe 6 or 12 months time, but that's an option that is out there. Cool, right, I think that was everything that I wanted to show you about getting ideas for what people search for, and hopefully that was clear. I felt like I went really quickly. Is everyone kind of equipped with a kind of method to find what their ideal client is searching for? I suppose that was really what I want you to get out today. So if you can give me like a yes or a no, or you've shown me too many things that I'm a bit confused. Loved this, really good. Oh, thank you. Yes, very useful. Cheers, Rob. How do we enter keyword into the Chrome extension? So you don't have to put the keyword into the Chrome extension. It takes it because you search for it, Daryl. So once you've got the keyword extension added, you just search for it on Google, and then it will come up on the side here. And in fact, it gives you related keywords as well here. So if you've got the keyword extension, so one thing I will do is when you first install Keywords Everywhere, you have to create, you have to add something called, you have to get an API code, but it's really simple. It sounds more technical than it is. There are, in fact, Keywords Everywhere have instructions to do this. So there is one step that I've missed out on your setup that you only need to do once. But also, there's, what was it? There's, you've got lots more info. If you guys want to do more on Keywords Everywhere, let me know and use your Q&A session for it as well. So Rob said, just added it. Pops up with lots of other good info on other searches. Is there a bank of existing content material for TMS? For TMS Associate Partners, your website has pretty much a clone of the existing content. It's just you cannot use that to rank on Google. So we've de-indexed it because you can't just copy someone else's content. So TMS Associate Partners, you have lots of content on your website already if people are going to your website from other sources. But in terms of for SEO, if you want to try and rank for those things, you will need to rewrite it. Hopefully that makes sense. TMS Associate Partners, you don't get a blank website. Hopefully that does make sense. Daryl's worked it out. Awesome. Brilliant. I'm going to stop recording.